Okay, that was like
it was like it felt like
strange.
it was double.
It was like doubled over.
We're looking at each other in the script down there going, what the heck?
Yeah. That's our new intro. Apparently someone else is playing at the same time. No, it's good to see everybody out there. Hopefully we see everybody out there, but it looks like one's watching.
Oh yeah. We've got we've got Jolin is out there.
Oh, there we go.
Got Ron waiting. He's already told us where he's from even.
We'll watch all
Gord's videos. That's right. Brad's out there. Mike is out there. Yeah. Sherry.
Nice.
I just love it how they know exactly what to say, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Mark, Jim. All right. Awesome, you guys.
Let's get to it, huh? Rico Mambo. There you go. All right. Let's, without further ado, because our guest has been on plenty of times. Awesome.
Yeah, he needs no introduction, right? We don't need to introduce him, do we?
No, not at all. Just bring him on. No, he, one thing that I love about Gord, if I ever have a question on Camtasia, he's definitely the resource. So, and I watched our last show just to recap and all the stuff that he showed us on the new stuff. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. Here we go. Let's bring him on.
Convinced me. I wanted Camtasia bad. It convinced me big time. So, hello, Gord.
Heather actually bought Camtasia. So there you go.
We were just that's awesome.
I know it. I know it is.
And you're converted already.
I am. I actually uploaded my very first Camtasia edited video today.
Congratulations.
People in the audience have already seen it.
That's
super.
Awesome.
So you're going to learn some good tricks here today. That's for sure.
I can't wait. I've got a pen and I've got paper. Like I'd take notes old school. So I'm ready. Let's go. Let's hit it.
Really quickly, because we do this every show. We have to say, where are you from? What country, city, and state? I know a bunch of our people in the comments are.
I'm from a place called Collingwood. I used to live in Toronto, which a lot of people will know of in Canada, but I moved about an hour and a half away from Toronto to a nice place by Georgian Bay and Blue Mountains called Collingwood, Ontario. And I went from a population city of 2 to 3 million, somewhere in there, to 22,000.
Wow.
It's just a little more laid back.
That image behind you is probably from there, maybe?
It is. From Sunset Beach.
I love it because
there's a perfect example. If I have a stressful day or afternoon or whatever, it's an 8-minute drive to that scene in the city.
8 minutes?
In the city, that would be like an hour and a half for me to get started. Yeah.
I love this. This is from Brad. Is that Gord, the Camtasia guy? Is that how you want to be known, Gord? Do you want to be known as the Camtasia guy?
I'd like to be known for more than just that. I think.
All right.
I'm a multifaceted being. No, but I love Camtasia, and I appreciate all the comments and good wishes from people that they can associate with me, whatever way it makes them happy.
You ready to get started? Go ahead.
Wait, can I just take Paul to task for a second because it said, "Hey, Gord and Michael," totally left me out of that. I just wanted to say, you could say, "Hi, Heather." That's fine. You don't have to. It's fine.
Low country England.
Wow. People from all over. That's great.
Oh, the Philippines. Wow.
That was cool.
All right.
Okay. That's awesome.
Everyone's name.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah. So we have a jam-packed set of things to get through. How long do we have, Michael? Because this always becomes a problem with me.
As long as you're willing to stay afterward and give some time to the my
that's
community.
not a problem. I just want to be sure I deliver.
You can go up to 30 to 40 to 45, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
How's that?
I think we're going to be able to do it. So I just want to let everyone know the sort of format for what I'm going to deliver today is I'm first going to share some examples out on YouTube where people have taken Zoom recordings and done things with them beyond just what we traditionally know of, like, when you're doing the one-on-one with someone else where it's like the black borders and you're in the gallery view for most of the time. You can bounce between speaker and gallery view. Well, we're going to see what some other artists have done creatively with their content with a Zoom recording, and then after that we're going to show you something that I put together with Michael and I that we were going to use as our example to demonstrate the editing after the recording as well. So
yeah, awesome.
lot to fit in.
Yeah, let's get to it. You ready?
Okay, I gotta get my browser happening here.
Okay.
For some reason, it's opening in the wrong window, but hang on here. Let me just see.
worries.
Oh, I just have to get out of full screen view. Okay.
Whatever.
All right. So we're in good shape here. And now I'm going to go to my screen here on YouTube there, Michael. Thank you.
Yep.
So this first example, the first couple examples are examples that are from my own creation that I've used for special interviews. So for example, this first one is an interview I did where we talked about Camtasia projects best practices. I did it with Jason Vlad from TechSmith, and I want you to just observe some of the elements. And what I'm going to do is play, then I'll stop and give you a little narration so that you can appreciate what's going on in there. Okay, so here we go.
Perfect.
All right, I'm going to make it large and press play now that I understand what I'm doing. Whether you're new to Camtasia or a grizzled veteran like my guest Jason Vlad, here are 5 best practices to level up your productivity in the way you manage your Camtasia projects. Jason. So in just those few seconds, we've seen a number of things that I want to just point out to everybody. First of all, above the place where the two of us are sitting in sort of like a gallery view, I'm using like a header at the top. And on the bottom, you saw I used nice customized TechSmith asset lower thirds. So already this has dressed it up. You may not even know that this was something done from Zoom. And then I added the green bordering to match with the colors of TechSmith's brand. And so, you know, already you see 2 or 3 different elements that have been put in there. So I wanted you to see that. And let me see. Is the credentialed ATD master trainer with TechSmith's customer success team. So see, now I use the base and we're showing TechSmith branding, etc. So that's one example. I'm going to go into another one now, about a minute, and dragging my time thing. It works okay. So here we go. Press play. Our first best practice is prepare your project work environment to suit your workflow. So Jason, this is a very important. So I'm using a listicle style approach where I'm going through a sequence of tips. So what I did is I created a transition that I overlaid on top of the Zoom recording with some nice effect to keep the engagement going. And, you know, but this is all done in our post editing. And I'm going to show our next connection there. And by the way, interrupt me anytime if anyone has any questions or okay. You want to. Okay, here we go. Let me go. And then, I think this is just showing another transition. Yeah, this one's just a second transition. Feel free to mention again in the comments so that we cover it in one of the future videos. Okay, so let's jump into our next best practice, and that is archive or back up your projects once you are finished. So, Jason, can you explain? So again, that was just, you know, nothing new there, but I wanted to show 2 of them because getting you to appreciate the listicle concept. And then at the end, you know, you have the ability to add when you're creating your own recording. After, you can add elements at the beginning, the end, in between, anywhere. You can create breaks. So in this case, because it's a YouTube video, I added in an element for end screen. So I'm just going to show you how that looks here.
Make sure you put those in the comment section below, and we'll be sure to address as many, if not all of them, in our upcoming mini series of videos. So thank you so much for having me, Gord. I really appreciate it.
So you see, I just segued into an end screen. I put a filter on. So you have the liberty to do whatever you want creatively inside Camtasia. And this kind of just made, you know, our subscription buttons stand out nicely if you went over them, plus the next video up on deck sort of featured nicely. So again, this is stuff you would do in a normal video if you were doing something for YouTube that wasn't based on Zoom, and you have the ability to add in all those elements. So I wanted to share that with you. Now let's go to a second example.
One second before you go to that example, can we get a question from Brad? Is there a way to get rid of the Zoom video title at the top left?
Was it showing in my recording? I don't think it was. Well, what we're going to see, yes, the answer is yes, because the gallery view, the pieces that we show can be resized and shaped, but that's done by first doing some cropping inside Camtasia and then doing some scaling. So we don't need to include the top area where there's like a Zoom watermark and stuff like that, as long as it's not in, covering over one of us who are speaking, that we've, cropped down to the video piece that we're using for each of us. Okay. Yep. Does that make sense?
It's a bunch of crop.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. And here I have, before I leave that, I wanted to show, I created, this is another great purpose for using some of the Zoom stuff to repurpose, and that is to do promos for your videos. So I love to do these little promos. I put some music in, and I'm just going to give you a tiny bit of flavor of how I took something from that exact video that we just looked at, pieces, and put it together inside a square video solution for Instagram. I'm going to press play here.
That's the best part. There is
looks like we froze.
No right way. That's why best practices are just that. They're the practice of whatever works best for you. Your projects tend to have more consistency than mine because they have the same look and feel. So the sheer number of elements that are in your videos far outweigh most videos that I've ever made. I don't use that many elements, but the ones I do use, I still store in that same folder. Do I create individual folders for media types? No. Is that a great idea? Yeah, I kind of think that is a good idea. It's great to be able to find music beds that.
Okay. I think awesome. You get the idea for that one.
Awesome.
I wanted to show something else at the end, but for the sake of, I'm gradually closing things down. I won't go into play the next one because I guess closing some tasks on my computer will possibly help our performance.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
So in the next example, this is, I was doing an interview with Dale Roberts, which a lot of you may know from Self-Publishing with Dale. And what I did here is this was predominantly done in a speaker view instead of the gallery view, which is the side-by-side look. So what I've done here is I have a nice red border, but I've expanded the size of the speaker view, and watch what I do with it with a couple of more little features here.
You're telling me these stories now that you're like under 3 hours. You're doing everything from scripting, recording, editing, and bang. You're ready. So you've really got it down to a science. So what have you changed in your creative mindset?
I do want to show a few features more. It's coming up.
That's fine. A bit of a pause, but that's okay.
I don't have much more to close here, so I'm doing the best I can with this.
No, you're all right. That's fine.
Okay. YouTube is having a lunch. Maybe I'll just refresh. Maybe that'll clean it.
Okay.
Let's just see if that works. No, just to go back to about where I was.
I love this comment from Mark while you're doing that. I love this community. He says, I learned so much. You really have the best guests on too.
Oh, that's very kind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't believe him. Mark's just brown nosing.
Okay. That's lovely. Please go and restart my device. So that is something we can do, but I told Michael I rebooted just about a half an hour before we came on.
Right.
So this has not happened to me. So it's destined to test me today.
What have you changed in your creative mindset?
Still.
Yeah. Okay.
So that you get more flow. Like you know, I'm sure there's topics that you need to research. So I'm more interested in those things where it's not so much an off the cuff or with just a few bullet points, but things where you still need to gather and research some information to pull together. How are you refining the process?
Okay, so there, that was throwing an annotation,
Well,
a
I
speech
try to
bubble
limit
on.
myself in
and-
the research phase. This kind of goes the same thing anytime I'm messing around with tags within a video.
And in that one, we went through a bit of a Zoom, which we didn't get to see. Do you think I should reboot and come back?
I give myself five minutes to find the tag.
No, I don't think so. I think once we're done with the
I
video
literally,
parts
like,
of it and
okay.
everything, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. I think you'll be okay when you get to the actual Camtasia and show some Camtasia, how you did some of the tricks and stuff like that. I think we'll be fine.
Okay. So what we had here was a zoom in and out, a zoom in and out effect, which you saw. So just showing you that you have the ability to use all kinds of features inside Camtasia on those pieces that you've cropped out of your Zoom video, which are the speakers, right? So I'm just showing and sharing a few of the different applications. Okay, and then I had one last point with this, and I'll just go to, yeah, it seems to be buffered. The buffering is back now. Okay, and then we'll just sort of show how we end off here. Come on. I know you can do it, YouTube.
And give like a summary and say, I'll cover that in a future video. Then
I like that.
This script, it's you just, as soon as you're done with the script, go right over, write that next one, or at least take that general outline that you had, put it over onto a document and say to yourself, I'm going to come back to that one later. And here's the nice thing. Let's say.
So again, I was just demonstrating now using a zoom out to bring in the end screen elements, you know, just another feature place where you can do some fancy stuff. And now these ones are pretty cool. This next set, let me just see. Close that. Okay, now, all right. I'm sure it's going to get better as we continue to close things down. I don't know where the problem is, whether it's here at home. I haven't had this problem, so it's kind of new for me. And
okay,
you know,
no worries.
So now, a lot of people have heard of the product called Vidyard, and the gentleman Tyler there has done a series of interviews, and this is one he did with Jay Bear, and he uses all kinds of interesting elements to create the final video. And you know, you're going to see he has an intro piece, he has an outro piece, he has stuff he's thrown in the middle, and he's got a nice frame with an overlay, and it just really doesn't feel like a Zoom experience at all. So let's just play and let you see a few of these elements.
There's not a lot of truisms in marketing, right? The answer is often it depends. But one of the truisms is that the best way to grow any business, your business, my business, any business of people tuning in, is for your customers to do that growing for you.
In a world where marketers are so focused.
So I want to first comment, like, see how that video started out? There was a whole nice intro piece, but he actually took an audio clip element from the Zoom conversation and put that underlying that nice visual and animation, which is the sort of the entry part for the show. And now he's into a piece that he's actually recorded on his own to bridge in before he gets into the interview. So let's just see how that
focused on
I'm going
website
to
optimization.
Show how that bridges in, and then he goes in to introduce his guest.
Career as a marketing leader and a podcast host, and someone who knows a thing or two about the art and science of creating conversations.
So, you know, Jay, you've been a busy guy for the last 10 plus years. You are the founder of Convince and Convert. You have written several books.
So what you see here, first of all, you saw a nice lower thirds come in to introduce his guest. You see we have a nice background. The colors are nice and pleasing, and you know, it's done like an overlay, because you can see where it says creating connections, it kind of overlays part of the screen. That's kind of a neat effect, and a nice little white border. So you saw how the sequence went to get into this video. It's like, wow, it's a pretty cool experience for an interview, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then we see here alternating between like a speaker, a gallery view concept and a speaker view. So it's going to queue up here, please.
Now we're building tech on top of that to be able to track and understand how well are we using those algorithms and what's really working and what's not. But I think today, now more than ever, to your point, there's the human element that is almost coming back. into the world of marketing for many of us, where we were.
Okay, it's coming.
I don't believe you.
For
I think you're making it up.
The Mad Men advertising world, it was all about the human brand and the storytelling and the emotion. And I feel that pendulum is now starting to swing back.
And I think it'll swing back even more so as more and more.
So what you're going to see here is
start to really adopt
as he focuses on the guest,
AI,
we went into the full speaker mode, right? So just showing that when you have the gallery view and the speaker view tracks recorded separately, you can blend them when you want, going back and forth from one to the other. And you know, they did a really nice job of that. And then the next little element I'm going to show here is you're going to see at a certain point in the video, I hope I didn't pass it. Maybe I did, but yeah, we'll go to that. So he has an outro exit, but he does something. I thought so in the middle. But at least the scan is working fast. Okay, so here's how he exits. So. I wonder if it's the fact that I loaded my video into the browser that
I don't think so. You shouldn't.
Okay.
Because that's coming from your local.
Okay.
It's like what Heather said. I think it's internet and whatever.
All right. So we'll pass on this. We're improvising as we go. So
there you go.
We'll close that one. All right. And now we'll go to our Camtasia world. Actually, I want to play our examples. So those are in the browser. So I'll go back. Okay. Hold on. It doesn't seem it's not in the browser now. For some reason, it disappeared. So I got to get it to come back in. All right.
Any
let me just
comments
bring it in.
there, Heather? Anything? No.
Okay. Here we go. Bring it in. New tab. Bring it in, and we're good. All right. Okay. So what I'm going to show you now is it's really cool. It's the piece that Michael and I put together earlier this week to use as a piece to edit together for the lesson today. And so I'm going to play it, and it's like the finished product of us having done an edit. And then we're going to look at some of the details of that edit right after. Okay. And awesome. Then that's inside Camtasia. So let's hope we get a little better performance here. Hey, it's Gord Isman here. And today on the Tinkering with Tech show, I'm going to be walking through an example of editing a Zoom recording. So you know those live recordings where you're on with someone else and they have the nice black border background, whether you're in the gallery or speaker view? Well, we're going to play with that inside the editor and do a few things to make it more interesting. Check out this example that we put together for the show. So, Michael, we're going to do a little Zoom recording now into the cloud. Let's pray that it works this time. And we're going to do a demo on Wednesday, or show how to utilize Camtasia to edit a Zoom interview type experience. And with that, I thought putting ideas like how to, cut out junk, in case you do the or oh geez, I forget, I want to edit this part out, right? So
I love it.
Then I get, okay, now we're back to normal.
It's doing some stuttering, but it's good.
So, you can edit stuff out and then you can put it together. There's gallery view, like we're looking at now, speaker view.
Yep.
Oh, classic interruption.
There's a perfect interruption. How about that? There you
can
go.
take it and we can cut this edit out.
There you go. I can do. that.
You could. Okay, so then so you can add B-roll in. We can share screens, which I'm going to do right now. I'm going to click on the share screen, and we're going to go there, and I'm going to see I use stencil, and I've created a social post, and I'm just showing you that because we're now using share screen, we're going to have a nice resolution quality, and I had an article here. Okay, and I'm going to stop share. We're back. And because I'm recording to the cloud, we'll also have a cloud speaker view recording option, because I also recorded the speaker view. So I'll be able to cut between different styles for edits. I can add some B-roll. Like right now, maybe I should add some B-roll of showing the Tinkering with Tech YouTube channel.
There you go.
All
Could
right.
do that.
And we can demonstrate that while we're talking.
I sent you the link to the intro also, so you have the intro.
Okay. In Messenger, or where did you send the links?
No, Google Drive. We have a folder. We have a folder we share in Google Drive. So
okay. So did you put an intro, an outro, and a transition, or what did you put? Yeah.
It's just I use it for both an outro and an intro.
Okay, that's perfect. And then, oh yeah, and I'm sure you have a plain graphic if I wanted, right? Do you have it, or is it all animated?
It's all animated.
Okay,
it's all
cool.
animated.
Okay, and is there anything else you wanted to cover on the show idea with Zoom?
No, just how you can turn a Zoom into using Camtasia. Cool. Well, yeah, using Camtasia to repurpose it or something like that, or bring in highlights, maybe even, like if you wanted to just do a highlight reel.
Oh, okay, so I could do I can even, for example, take a snippet, show how to assess taking content out for repurpose, right?
Yeah, exactly, for repurposing, for a quick ad or
right now we're saying don't miss Tinkering with Tech this Wednesday at
5 p.m. Eastern time.
5 p.m. Eastern time, where my gracious host Michael Daniels is hosting me on the topic of
Camtasia and editing and making repurposing a Zoom meeting into something really special using Camtasia.
And there you go. We have a promo video.
Except I kind of talked over you, but yeah, exactly.
That's okay. It's about being fun.
Yeah.
You got me inspired now. Okay, we made it.
That's awesome.
So that whole video that we just went through, I hope you looked at it and didn't see it as a conventional watching, a Zoom with just the black borders. There was a whole bunch of different things going on. So now we're going to dive into Camtasia and look at how we can edit some of those features. Were your wheels turning, Heather, about how to maybe go about tackling that problem?
Yeah, I want to see the how now. I want to see the how you can do all that.
Okay, so let's do the how now. And let's go to my, I guess now we can see my Camtasia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Okay. So one thing I want to mention first, this is just a fundamental thing so people can appreciate the structure of what I did in setting up the environment that we're working in. So when you record to the cloud, you have the ability to get a multitude of recordings. So I set it so that I get a whole bunch of them. So you can see here, I have these 3 elements down here. One says
record to the cloud. You're talking about Zoom specifically?
Zoom record to the cloud.
Right.
Because when you do local recording, you get a recording. The MP4 you get is as it was played by the host. So if I change speaker view to gallery view or do different things, that's kind of the flow that's being recorded. There's no subsequent recordings from additional ones to mess with, right? So that's what you're getting, plus an audio file, right? And there's also a feature to separate audio files, which is something kind of unique and interesting to the local recording. But in the cloud, pardon me, you have the ability to get on a separate track what's called the gallery view, and so the gallery view comes out with no screen share, and it's a 1280 by 720. Okay, and in the versions, in the copies I brought down, and then speaker view, no screen share, it's in a 640 by 360, and then screen share is in a 2560 by 1440. But don't get disillusioned, it doesn't mean that we have that kind of level of resolution, because it's just done to at the recording resolution of the screen that it was recorded on. But when they mash it all together, so a 640 by 360 and a 1280 by 720, everything gets leveled up to about 1280 by 720. There is special features and something called a group HD or something to get to a 1920 by 1080, but it's a specialized feature. But I just wanted to share with everybody that it looks like these are all kind of like different resolutions, and they are, but I just bring them together. Now, when these are all layered here, just to show you that the waveforms are all synchronized so that you can see one on top of the other, right? You can see that when I dropped each one of them onto the timeline, that the waveforms are in sync. So that way, you know that the audio track is consistent across all of them. So if I wanted to edit a piece where I wanted the gallery view to play, I would just, in essence, cut out the other options so that they're not in the way, right? And then
okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah, and we're going to see that in detail in a moment. So I'm just talking about the tracks in general right now. Sure, go ahead.
So did you line those up, or are they lined up automatically when you dropped them in?
Yeah. So when I bring it in, I just drag it. I dragged it on from the media bin and put it down.
Line it up at the beginning,
right? And then I would drag in the next one and do the same thing, and they all are. It's all in perfect alignment.
Okay, so I thought when you were mentioning the peaks, I thought you had to line those up that way. Okay, gotcha.
No, well, because as you can see, this is all the same length, all of them. So you don't really have an effort to do for alignment. But when you start to get into pieces later on, like you're going to see, I'm going to cut out the speaker view track, and I'm going to cut out the gallery view. And now you're going to see, wait, I have to turn these off too. So now you're going to see that there's only one little part in the, I hope it shows. There we go. In the share screen. Remember where I shared the screen to show that? That's it. This track only has that on it, right? So.
Oh, but it matches up because it's a part of that recorded.
It's got the full recording. So in essence, I've been able to separate out that. So then likewise, so when I come here, this is speaker view. I've scaled it already a bit, but you can see speaker view is this. It's just the speaker view the entire way through, right? And then when we look at the, come on, I got to get down one more and open that up. And then of course the gallery view is the gallery view all the way through, right? Now, before I go into the detail, I'm going to show you. Remember, I talked about cropping. So here in Camtasia, you click on the crop symbol there, and then you got these handles. So see how we can crop the size. So Michael, you were asking about the zoom watermark thing. Like, wouldn't that eliminate it because we've now blocked out the black area, right?
Right.
And if I wanted to focus on Michael and take you to move you around, I just did it there, right? And if it was me that I wanted to work on, hold on, let me get back here so I can get the handle. Come on, cooperate with me.
Just undo.
Yeah, no, I know. It should, well, I always can grab another spot. Okay, go across. And then I would just crop across there. See? And then I'm dealing with me.
So it doesn't remove what you don't see. It just hides it from view.
Crops it.
Really.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So you cropped the shape. So when I want to get myself and Michael and now if I want to scale me, I go out of crop mode and I go into the edit mode. And now the handles work in a proportional scaling fashion. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, but if I want to actually have Michael and me from the gallery view on, I would have to, I'm going to just bring the track again. I'm hoping this is that's with screen share. That's gallery
So
view.
you're adding a repeated.
Yes. So now
I was going to come to that, Michael.
I'm adding it again, right? So now I'm going to take Michael. Whoops. I'm going to go back to crop mode and I'm going to focus in on Michael. Okay.
So you're adding the same track in twice so that you can use two parts of it and scale them how you prefer.
Right. Because
and place them where you want. That's pretty nifty right there. Okay.
Yeah. So now
do you have to mute one of those tracks though?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna show you when we go into the detail.
You do. Okay.
We're just doing. I'm trying to layer this so it doesn't get too complicated. Yeah. So now we have two of us, and and I'll go back to scale mode, and how sometimes often we do a design. You're going to see a design like that, where we have one bigger than the other, right? And you're going to see we've done all of that in what I've demonstrated. So I wanted to show you that, just some of the basics, so you can appreciate. I got all of these track combos to play with, and I can mix and match with whatever I want to do. So if I wanted to now,
Gord.
go. Yep. Can you hear me?
I have a question from Jim about the resolution. So I'm going to bring it up on screen. Do you ever have problems where the 640 resolution piece meets the 1280? I've had the video get all pixelated.
So there has been a problem, and it's not been consistent. And I've spoken to them at TechSmith, and it has to do with Zoom and the encoding that they're doing. So sometimes you may get a pixelation problem. I've found it for me, it happens when I'm double layered, and sometimes just with the single layer, but it's unpredictable. What I do is, whenever you run into this, I throw it into Handbrake. The application called Handbrake, where you can do conversion stuff on your MP4, and I just regenerate it in there with the standard parameters, and I'm able to bring the clip right back in, and oftentimes that just solves the pixelation problem. But it is something.
I will bet that Jim knows exactly what you're talking about. But
okay, so Jim, confirm that made sense to you. I'd appreciate that, because believe me, that video that I did that I shared at the beginning with Jason from TechSmith, I had pixelation parts in there, and I was like pulling my hair out, what's left of it, all weekend long, and like doing random generates to like get one that would work clean. So I know that it's something. It's not on the TechSmith side, from what I understand, but it's something that they're going to sort out. So, anyways. We've now gone
Jim said yes. I told you he would understand. I just knew it.
Okay. What about you, Michael? Was it totally clear there?
Yeah. No,
okay.
I get it.
Okay. So now let's dive in, and I'm going to show a whole bunch of things and try to do them pretty quickly. So what I did at first, because now you saw the basics of being able to like pull together different pieces and sometimes needing two tracks or not. In these examples here, where I'm just still doing a side by side, I don't really need to use the double track. It's when I have to layer them that it gets to be a problem on top of each other. So you see there's just the speaker track here, but in this first example, I'm just showing you that we have the gallery review thing, and I added to make a nice little yellow a color border. I clicked on here and did a sample, and I came into one of Michael's throne pieces
Colors.
And sampled the color in there. Okay, and then that's how I came up with the bordering. And you already know how I cropped and shaped those things. I also trimmed the crop to block out the name that was over here in the corner, our names, because I used lower thirds, and then if I wanted to keep names on, I could have left it there. and had those names showing, but I chose not to. Okay. And just stop me anytime. Then I'm going to the next example. So here's where I ended up having to do the 2 tracks because
I love that look. Yeah, that's cool.
So you see there's 2 tracks here now, right? One layered on top of the other. We just went through that looking at this example of how to deal with that. So that's just an example of putting the 2 of those together. Okay. Then the next one here, I decided to put in a motion background and the lower thirds.
Wow.
Do a little Zoom recording now. So you can put motion backgrounds in. You're not restricted to just the color of, in our case, you can see here, this is the color of the canvas. That's the color I used to match with his, his thrown threads, for lack of a better way to describe it. And then I have the motion background version. And then here I created, which is, I think, Michael, you're familiar with, is the approach where I have a PNG file. That's the template. So you can tell it's transparent because if I were to switch the color here, which I'm just going to do for a second, I'm going to copy it first. If I change it to something else, you can see it's transparent in there. Okay. All right. Right. So go back. The color's still there. There we go. So that is an overlay that came from something I just did in Photoshop.
I like this. I like this. He says, I got to bookmark this live streaming for future reference. He's getting very interested with Camtasia now. So
cool. Okay. So, sorry, I'm just having a little lag time. I think through with all this stuff going on screen and that. Okay. So those borders, the white borders and the whole framing is done in Photoshop. So you don't need to add borders there. So I just wanted to show you there's a variety of ways to come up with approaches of how you want to style, shape, and direct it, right?
Yeah.
Now we move on. Okay. Now we're going into the meat. Okay. So what I've done, if you look on the side here, I've labeled my tracks. So the gallery track I put here, the speaker track, the one above it, and then the screen share track. And then I put B-roll all on a track by itself. And then the stuff that I had to do to support the framing. And then above it, the text, the callouts or annotations. So I did that just to organize things so people can see cleanly that kind of maps to the structure I had out here with layering the tracks. Okay. So that's kind of mirrored here in how I did it. So you can relate to the way I put it together. Okay. Now in the first part, so this piece I recorded as a front end. So this is not part of the Zoom content. So this is the ability to enhance it. I since added, which wasn't in the example recording, a little transition. So watch. Put together for the show. So Michael, okay, it didn't go so smooth, but let me just try once more. Do a few things to make it more interesting. Check out this example that we put together for the show. So Michael, okay. It's a very fast transition, so it's hard to see it, but I think you get the idea. So now we have, I do audio compression because I want to make sure balance the level a little higher. So I'm compressed it just a little. I've used audio compression on low. So if you look at here and come on the right side, you'll see I selected low in the options. Just wanted to share that. And then I balanced the level where I wanted it to be. Okay. So I took the, I go into edit the audio, I took the level and then I just moved it up a little bit because you can play with it, right? Okay. That's just tuning the audio. Now, you see I've now added this like tinkering with tech logo, and I also had to add a bar shape in the middle. So that's this element right here. You're going to see throughout. It's a shape, and it's just this little bar here. So if I move it out of the picture, you see it disappears. That's all that is. And because of where I positioned this, you need to cut it in and cut it out throughout where you're doing some changes. I could have positioned it in another way that didn't require as much cutting, but for demonstration, I just organized the tracks so it's easy for people to understand kind of what's where. Okay. So we move along, and then Now, when I first transition into a piece of B-roll here, as you can see, I have the track. Oh, that's a screen share, and I put a piece of B-roll there. Well, we can easily remedy that. Just move it up to one track. It's the same result. Okay, so I went into the B-roll when Michael had his phone ring. So jokingly, I thought it would be nice to have a piece of B-roll right where the phone was ringing, and then pressed cancel to turn it off, just like he did.
Explain what B-roll is. Some people might not know what B-roll is.
So B-roll is stuff that is in addition to the main A-roll, which are the main footage that you shoot or use. So in our case, it's the Zoom meeting, but now we're overlaying clips, snippets, and other things. So they're commonly referred to as B-roll, and they're what you can do to add more interest and engagement to your content. So even though they're talking, we don't need to stay on the discussion. We can pop out like we did here. I'll just play that again for everyone to remember. View, like we're looking at now, speaker view.
Yep.
Oh, classic interruption.
There's a perfect interruption. How about that? There
you can take it, and we can. So do you see that? It just made sense to show a nice little piece with a phone, because everyone connects to a ringing phone, right? And then next, if you notice now, I went from gallery view into speaker view. So remember, I showed you before, I had the gallery view track on the bottom, and this answers your question, Heather. The speaker view piece is right here. That's the only snippet I used right here. Now, I could have had the two tracks layered, just like I showed you on the perimeter on the right-hand side, and you're just cutting and keeping what you do or don't want. It's that easy, right? As you're going, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I could just as easily have moved this down here and had all of it on one track after, but I wanted you to see, to be able to analyze it like I showed you here with all the
separation
tracks
on the two tracks. Yeah, three tracks. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Newbie question.
Yep.
Is it? I like how you have the things layered like that, where you have each thing on its own layered track that has been labeled, so you know off to the left exactly what you're working on. Is that how you operate all of your video editing right there? Is this an example of it?
I try to be as organized as I can, because then
I believe that, Gord. I have no doubt in my mind that is exactly how you operate every aspect of your life. I can tell.
Then I'm not going to show you a picture of my desk right now, because it's a fire hazard.
Okay, well that's okay, but seriously, so that is how you would do it. So you know where they are, and you can, because Michael will tell you, I did it all wrong.
well, you could tighten all this up and use far fewer tracks. But if you're new and learning, is that funny? There's a fly on my lens. Hold on. There we go.
Is that what that was?
It's a fly. Yep. And I'm not about to go get a fly swatter. Somehow.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's really slick to be able to, and you can remove a track if you decide, you know what, that doesn't work for me.
Right. So let's say I'm doing something and I go, I know this, I know I want to change out the speaker clip and go back to the gallery view. Well, then all I would have to do is go here and delete this piece like that. And then I could just stretch out the clip that was underlying in the normal thing and sew it back together. Done. But if you didn't know that you were organized this way and everything was a mishmash, it may be harder to, quickly go and do the edit. So sometimes it pays great dividends, but some people like everything to be really tight. I also like to organize things, where it makes sense. And for the demonstration here, you're going to see I'm bouncing around, but we're going back to the same track for the same kind of thing. Now, I wanted to show up here, I have these annotations. So I named the tracks annotation, those two there. So these two layers are annotation style things. So wherever I have text, like I said, where it's B-roll there, or switch to speaker view and switched back to gallery view. So I have it comes on in a nice, I've used the reveal behavior, but slightly customized. So it looks like you have a text typing effect. So then, and I use that throughout. So it's just a nice touch to be able to add in text and information. And then when we go along, the next element we have was the screen share. Now, remember that third track only had that one little piece of screen share? if I wanted to use it, I just need to snip that piece out and brought it here and eliminate the sound. Remember, you saw the sound was on every track. So what I did was I went in here. If I go to edit audio, I think I separated it and removed it. That's what I did already before I clipped it out. But all you have to do is either turn the volume to 0 or eliminate the volume from the track piece. And now I brought in the screen share. And again, if you didn't want that, I mean, I just put it there because intentionally in the way we put this example together, I said, I'm going to screen share now, right? Watch. See, I use stencil and I created a social post. See, I'm actually referring to the stuff on the screen. So it makes total sense there. Now, I have the audio. I'm taking it from the gallery track. I could have used it from this track, but that's kind of silly because this is more like B-roll overlay. You know what I mean? Sort of. You could argue that, even though this is the screen recording piece from the original 3 tracks, you could call it B-roll if you wanted, because I'm basing my foundation on the gallery view. It's just a matter of semantics.
Understood.
Right? So it's so in the next one. So after I finish, so before the B-roll,
just a FYI, we're at 50 minutes. So
yeah, we're almost done. We're getting there, Michael.
Okay.
So we're just going to cover through a few more things. Okay, so there, I wanted to show you that I now went to a speaker view, and then I actually scaled it up while we were watching. So if you look here for just 1 second, I wanted to show you that. So we have the speaker view down here. All right, and I set it at a certain size. Fly seems to be having fun. Different styles for edits. I can add some, and then I have this little animation here that just all it did was scale up to the size at the end keyframe to this size, and at the beginning keyframe it was, if we go back there, it was that size. Okay, so that's something you can do as a feature. I showed you that in the examples I showed in the front that I did that. Here now we just added another piece of B-roll. Okay, and I'm putting all of these nice little text overlays in these annotations just for education and what we're doing, but in your case they may serve another purpose, as you're telling your story, whatever that is. Okay, and then after the showing the tinkering, Michael's YouTube channel, I went and showed the intro. And remember, these are all on my track here called B-roll on the left, right? And I'm just scanning across showing you, right? And then when we come back out, I need to always recreate that little shape bar space when I come up, because it's the only add-on when I build back my gallery view. So I just come back to that, and then the shape goes off because now I went to B-roll of me showing you the editor in Camtasia. Okay, and we're basically done. So I added in lower thirds again, just to remind you who we are, and then I did some edits out. But the only last thing was, you could also edit out things like ums and ahs and coughs. I had several coughs in there. I can show you how to edit out a cough. It's just a matter of recognizing the waveform, finding it, and then doing a ripple delete to remove the piece in the middle. I mean, I can show you that if you want, but there you have it. We've covered the full example set that I wanted to, Michael. I think we got it in time.
You covered everything and everything. That was awesome. Yes, you went through a lot. That's a lot. I'll tell you what, it's almost like a whole lesson on Camtasia, which is fantastic. This would be one worth watching again. I mean, for sure.
There's a lot of goodies in here.
I was taking some notes about setting up your environment, having your elements like videos, B-roll, music, etc., labeling your tracks, layering them. How you layer them seems to matter. I'm taking notes, taking all kinds of notes. Awesome. So thank you very much, Gord.
One thing that's interesting that I'm just going to touch on, just being a Camtasia user myself, one thing that I like to do too, it's an old trick, but you would just take the video that you have, if you want to get to like a specific area or as opposed to just zooming in and zooming out.
Yeah.
What I do is I copy that track.
Yeah.
And then I zoom out to that specific area with that top part that's zoomed in for just like let's say I want to show a button.
Yeah.
I can zoom into that button and use that same track, and it's over top of the other one. It's just a copy of the track. That's a really cool trick.
an overlay, like a pop-up, like a pull-out.
Yes.
It has the effect, which is very cool. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
technique that I would use when I'd be showing certain elements on the screen sometime.
Right.
And I want
Exactly.
to
Like a
emphasize,
button or like a menu or specific
Like-
thing like, yeah, it's awesome.
like this section right here on properties. If I wanted to blow it up, I would do just like what you described,
Yes,
right?
yes,
This
exactly.
area, and then make it central with
Yeah,
that
really
second
cool.
copy and make it nice and big. Yeah.
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 Love
that's
that. I love that kind of stuff. There's so many tricks, so many cool things that you can do. It's really, really, really nice.
Yeah. And I hope this.
Oh,
Jolyn
Ripple
says-
delete.
It
Yeah, I
doesn't-
like Jolyn. Jolyn's
Look.
comment's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been taking advantage of the Ripple delete, and she said she will definitely be rewatching. Huey said, "Wow, some great things to work on."
Cool. That's awesome. Okay.
I do have a question regarding the Zoom recording, and I hope that I'm not repeating or something or whatever, but I just want to make sure I understood the difference, or there is a difference between recording to the cloud versus recording to your local device.
Totally.
And the biggest difference that I heard or I understood was that when you record to the cloud, you get a few more options. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So I'm going to show you here. Can you see my
Okay.
screen now?
Because you got the speaker view, the
Okay,
gallery view, and the screen share
so-
all separate.
So when
right?
when I'm inside under the local recording, when you have the pay subscription, that's when you can start to get all of these extra recordings. Otherwise, you're working with the free, which means you're focused on recording locally. And here's the local recording options. So if you were to click somewhere either on the video or the audio, and it brings up the box for opportunity to click on settings, in there is recording. And you'll see here for the local, you just have the ability, aside from choosing your location, record a separate audio file if you wanted, and record video during screen sharing. Okay. And you just get a video output and an audio output and something called the M3U file, which is kind of like an index for playing things if you use it in some fancy way. I've never explored using that, but you don't have the multitude of choices. Now I'm going to see if I can find you. Give me a second here. Cloud recording. I don't know if this shows the detail here. Yeah. So with cloud recording, as I was showing you in the different tracks, record active speaker with shared screen, record gallery with shared screen, record active speaker, gallery review, and shared screen separately. That's what I do. Okay. Record audio file. So you get these extra options. Right. So I think it's important to know, okay, I'm finished with the screen.
Yeah, it's good.
I think it's important to know that you get your full latitude with the paid subscription by being able to download. I produce shows for people, and you can get 7 tracks if you use. So if, for example, if you don't use a share, there's not going to be a share track if you even though you selected it.
Right.
Okay. And you can also get the text from the chat also to download if there's something you wanted to do with that.
That's excellent. I know several of our community members who would really like to have that information. So I wanted to make sure that we brought that up on screen and talked about it. And it's excellent to see how you utilized all of those specific tracks, different recordings, to put together a really good end result that didn't even look like a Zoom recording, which was the whole point of the video, right?
Yeah,
that was the whole point of today's video.
Exactly. And you can get as creative as you want in designing those other elements, like your background screen, or using motion backgrounds, overlays,
or fancy borders. You can put lightning bolts instead of just lines. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can do
basically, you can do whatever you can edit and whatever kinds of
brushes, maybe.
Paintbrushes. There you go. Paintbrushes instead of just lines. There you go. See, that'd be great for you. This is awesome.
I just had it in my hand, by the way. That was totally not at all prepared. I promise. Okay, so this is really cool because I know that our community members are going to want to talk to you afterwards. So we really should say goodbye so that we can do that, right? Backstage pass, everybody.
Yes. It's that time. Hey, if you want to become a community member, please join our paid for community. It allows you just like this. You can come, any guests that we have come in, you can come in and talk to them after the shows and things like this. This is what we do in our private community. We would love to have you guys join. Gord, as always, love having you on. You are
One question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Please let everyone know that if they want to learn more about Camtasia and other stuff about videos and YouTube, to go to check out my channel on YouTube.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I should have done that first, and I apologize that I didn't. But all of your credentials, your website, your YouTube, all that stuff is in the description of this video. If you're watching this video or rewatching this video, please go check it out. Seriously, because I go and reference stuff all the time on Gord's channel because I'm like, I need to go find that out. And then if I can't find it, I just, hey, Gord, I need some help. I send him a message and say, I need some help on this. Yeah. Hey, thank you. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. We're going to go into that backstage pass. Hang around here. We'll get you that link to go in there, Gord, with us.
Okay.
I appreciate you, Heather. As always, it's awesome. Thank you so much for your help and just a good time. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, folks. See ya. Bye.